We are back in. It's another edition of Danny and Cello. I am Danny Williams, Marcello Romano right there to my left. How are you, buddy?
I'm good.
You good? You ready to go?
Yeah, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to rock.
All right, we got our guy DC Chavi behind us, taking care of us here. We got a lot of good stuff to talk about. Got three kind of key things we want to get into, all in the heart of what is the home stretch now of training camp, Cello. Just any quick training camp thoughts, the vibe, the feeling, expectations. You satisfied with what training camp has been to this point?
I guess I would say how we do one word. And you, whether you've been out there or not, I'll say one word for me is confidence. Listen, I've heard swagger, I've heard all these different things, but for whatever reason, this team seems maybe confident beyond what they should be already.
Okay, I
and
like
a
that.
lot of that comes from the head coach, but what would your word be?
Like professional. This is a professional operation again. There's no more question marks. It's not just a bag of hope and dreams. They're a big boy team now. Big boy's kind of two words, unless we use a hyphen. But I think big boy is another one. Like, this team is back to being a legitimate operation. Legit's maybe one word I'd throw out there too if we had to use just one word. But yeah, it's just kind of the thoughts of who and where they're at. They've been so far so good, kind of health wise. Dre Greenlaw, it's like a devastating injury because we don't really know the extent. And you probably shut him down until football that matters. Until we play football that matters.
That's 2 days in a row that you've gone that route.
Okay,
though. Like, you think it's more serious than what's
for sure.
you don't think this is precautionary, and a guy with an injury history like he has, you think something serious is happening, they're getting it checked out, or you think it's just shut him down? Because if that's the case, what are the chances he gets through an entire season then,
Why
Danny?
define and qualify everything by numbers? Like, that's just kind of how I'd look at the world, especially the world of sports. So I've said there's a 75% hit rate and a 25% bust out rate on Dre Greenlaw, where it just never works. He's never the same guy here. This injury was kind of a career ender. I know he's only 28 or 29 years old, but like the Luke Kuechly's and the Patrick Willises, those guys who play that position, brutal. I mean, like, heart and soul, physical, emotional. They kind of retire right at 30, 31. Those guys don't play to 35 years old, okay? So Dre Greenlaw's best days are probably behind him, okay? What's he have left? Kind of,
I hate that you said that.
Oh, well, again, I'm just trying to keep it a little bit real, but do you know what? I'll take the Cello.
Hold on, and
okay.
here's where I guess I would stop you there, because if his best days were behind him, Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch, they're not flying to Texas to try and change his mind to stick with the Niners.
Yeah, well, that's why that's what I keep hanging my hat on, is that, the 49ers were desperate to retain this guy, to not lose this guy. That's how important they believed he was to their team. And that means a lot because, again, he's like an instant C on the jersey. And I think we might have said this in the last show. If the Broncos are winning playoff games, it's because Dre Greenlaw he's the dude, and he lived up to expectations, and he's an elevator. He's like a championship kind of elevating player to the players around him. So yeah, I mean, like, we'll see, but I wouldn't play him down of football until week 1, right?
Oh, I'm with you on that player.
Okay.
The other guys, where the other day you were saying you leave them completely.
Yeah, your most important players, you don't play them.
I don't know how you can do that this day and age. I think you have to get them involved at least a little bit.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be like back in the day when we were watching it. It was always the third preseason game. They would play the first 2 quarters. They'd go through a normal routine at halftime, come out and maybe get a series or two. If you played poorly, maybe they made you play longer. It's not going to be like that. I think they're going to see what they have. Hopefully these guys go out and do what they do, and they're successful in the limited opportunities so that they don't have to push it and then have, worry about injury. But to combat them playing in the preseason, Danny, is they're out in San Francisco right now, right?
Yes.
They're doing joint practices.
Santa Clara.
Probably the most physical that they're going to be up until the preseason game. You're just as likely to get hurt in that you would be in the preseason game?
Oh, I guess where I was going with it, and the conversation always evolves, is if Greenlaw's the worst injury, knock on wood or whatever, to this point, and we're going to have to the start of the regular season, the health, schedule health, talent, coaching scheme, and then the football shaped funny and bounces weird. All of those things equal the season you're going to have, but health is one of these 5, 6, 7 biggest factors, and we know it because in 2015 that team was super healthy, other than Peyton Manning, who was just kind of not right. not necessarily not healthy. And then C.J. Anderson came back down the stretch and was the difference maker. But that team essentially stayed really healthy the entirety of that season, even though we don't think it was the second or third best team of the Manning era that actually, won it all, right?
Yeah,
okay.
For sure.
So the theme of the show a little bit today is kind of revolving around Bo Nix, okay? So Bo Nix right now people have him as a top 15, 16, 17 quarterback in the league right now. And then one of the earliest kind of preseason rankings on quarterbacks that we heard weeks ago, maybe even a month ago, was I saw outlet that had Bo Nix as the 6th best quarterback in the NFL. So somewhere between 6 and 16 or 17 is where I've seen Bo Nix, okay? So I want to know what you think, where you think this guy's value, real true right now today value is, because when we're doing this show a year from now, we'll be having a different conversation and we can project forward a little bit, but we'll do this in a couple different variation of ways. For one, like the importance of the quarterback to the Broncos, to this town, to the legacy brand, crown jewel franchise brand that is the Broncos. It's all about the quarterback. It's all about quarterback play. It's always been, okay? So the Broncos are expected to have a great quarterback. It's like who they are as a franchise, right? Like the Packers. So who and what Bo Nix is living up to all of those big John Elway, Peyton Manning, expectations. Even Jake Plummer is kind of, a guy who had a lot of success here, but we thought, man, you got to do better than Jake Plummer. All Jake Plummer did was win 3 out of every 4 games, right?
Yeah.
So just kind of your thought on just
where
who
he
and what Bo
ranks
Nix
in
is.
the league?
Yeah, but just right now to the importance to Broncos country a little bit. Before we start kind of chopping up where he ranks to the rest of the quarterbacks in the league.
As high as it can go. You brought it up, playing quarterback in the NFL, which we always talk about, the most important position in all of professional sports, but doing it in cities that have traditions, that know what winning is and what it looks like.
Yeah.
Denver being one of those. When you brought up the names, all you have to do is say the 2 names.
Yeah.
They're on the top 10 lists, man. John Elway and Peyton Manning.
Top 5.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying to avoid any argument
sure,
initially.
Absolutely.
But that's what it means, and that importance in Broncos country. That's why it's so refreshing to go into a season after nearly a decade of having question year in and year out at that position, because we've never, and I brought this up to you the other day, Danny, we've never seen something like this growing up here.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we may have seen a couple bad years when Wade wasn't really winning, and then they get to like 5, Wade Phillips I'm talking about, and they get to 500, but then Mike came in and they were contending. All that time, they may have had a couple years where they weren't real contenders, but not a decade of it. And now you have the answer at that position. And then you have a team that's built around him. This is still early in this. Like, I love how you say that it's like maybe next year is it, but like if they jump the line and go ahead and compete this year and get into that conversation, then like the future is just as bright as can be. And it's led by number 10 in Bo Nix.
It's funny you say that, and you kind of put it together for maybe the discussion here and just what the Broncos were missing and how you RTD returned to dominance, right? Isn't that what the Buffs did a few years ago? So here's what happens. You get John Elway, and he carries you for 2 decades, and you think it's never going to, nothing's ever going to change. Like, we're going to have Jokic forever, okay? And then John Elway goes away, and you kind of see from the Brian Griese's to just really, like, every last guy in between, there'll never be another John Elway. So once you land Peyton Manning, the greatest free agent in the history of professional sports, maybe, you have the success you have with Peyton Manning, and then after that, you literally try everything. The Broncos try everything as a franchise, to the groomed later pick in Trevor Siemian, who's a professional and is a poor man's Peyton, okay? To the late first-round draft pick. The late first-round draft pick is probably a second or third-round pick in Paxton Lynch. We all make mistakes. To then you go the Flacco veteran guy who, what does he have left to win a Super Bowl? To the backup in Case Keenum, ready to emerge. He's just need a little bit more time and seasoning on him. To the Bridgewaters, to the Drew Locks, who should have been a 4th or 5th round pick. They did everything except, and it's all Elmer's glue, tape, what's that stuff? Flex Seal. Put some Flex Seal on that. No real answers. The real answer for the Broncos was to
Nobody
draft a
would do
quarterback.
But I would.
I'm out here on a lake, on a screen door, and I'm all being held up by Flex Seal.
But I would.
But yeah, so what did they do? They had to really kind of tear it down. And the teardown happens in the midst of just signing Russ to an incredible contract, okay?
Yeah,
so you have
you
to
didn't
tear
even
down
get
a
to
house
that
that
one.
you just spent all kinds of money on a renovation and draft a quarterback very, very high in Bo Nix, okay? And people are thinking very high. He was the 6th quarterback. Well, now, and we'll do this here, a little bit of a redraft. Bo Nix probably should have been the 2nd or 3rd quarterback taken in this draft. A 6th, 7th, 8th overall pick right there by where Herbert was taken, and kind of, where it's like that first knock guy.
Well, it's kind of interesting, though, to look at the butterfly effect that got you there. And you could go back to Super Bowl 50 and winning that.
Yeah.
And watching John and Gary up on the stage saying, we can win it all kind of ways, bud, right?
Yeah.
And that was a defensive way that they won it. They built the most prolific offense a couple years prior, and they got housed in the Super Bowl. They win Super Bowl 50. And then when they do make the selection of Paxton Lynch, instead of wiping your hands with it and saying, hey, we screwed up, they got gun shy. You miss out on guys like Josh Allen, a bunch of different people. But for them to finally have to, and for the crew that's running it now, for them to say, hey, man, I know he may not be really rated that high, but we fell in love with this guy in the pre-draft process. We believe he is a number 1 pick. Go out, pull the trigger on it, and then to have it kind of come to fruition to where he's legitimately a franchise quarterback.
Yeah.
And you want to do this redraft, but it's like, where do you put him now in the league? You said as high as 6,
Yeah. So
and as low as 16.
I think and you almost have to, we have to go through the exercise to do it, because just to say he's a top 6, 10, 12 is just kind of words. You kind of got to break it down and go through the exercise. So I'm going to give you a couple who'd you rathers, okay?
Okay.
Justin Herbert or Bo Nix. And that's all things right now considered today, knowing you have Nix this year on the rookie contract, next year in his 3rd season on the rookie contract. If he's a perennial 30-touchdown guy, if we're going to the playoffs after that 3rd season, you probably pay Bo Nix a ton of money. So know that in this discussion that we're kind of having right now. So, again, Herbert or Nix?
I'm going to go with Nix.
Why?
Well, have they been in the same amount of playoff games?
Yeah, but Herbert wins about 10 games every single year. Herbert's thrown 35 touchdowns. He's had some big seasons before, and now he's been relegated to kind of being, they're going to run the ball first. They want to be more like a 25, 26, 27 touchdown guy. I think Herbert's got physical abilities like Allen. I think like the stature, I think like almost Nix is a poor man's Herbert in terms of ability.
So you're taking Herbert.
I think I'm taking Herbert. I think Herbert's more of a sure thing right now, and I'm not 100% sure on Bo Nix
I think
just
you
yet.
got to prove it still.
Okay,
I think he's still got to prove it.
Brock Purdy or Bo Nix?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's not gonna be, I don't ask the easy ones.
Listen, I'm going with Bo Nix.
Okay, why?
Because I think Brock Purdy's probably more of a system-style quarterback. He fits what Kyle Shanahan wants to do in San Francisco.
Wouldn't Purdy fit here? Isn't, Sean Payton kind of have a system that his
you
quarterback
see Brock
has
Purdy
to fit
making
into?
those runs that Bo Nix made last year?
Yeah, but they were desperate runs. Like, even Sean said, it's like, whoa, I didn't even know he can do that. It was like, I mean, does he want him to do that? Is that a little bit, is that out of desperation? Is that out of breaking down? Is that after his first or second read, and instead of going through progression, you're tucking the ball
Are
and
we
taking
getting
off?
stuck with like the Kool-Aid of what's going around Broncos country right now, and just believing in all the hype, or am I thinking back and looking about remembering what I saw out of Bo Nix last year? And if I'm just going to put the two next to each other, I think the potential that was year 1 with Bo Nix.
Okay,
That was without a run game and no huge weapons in the pass game. So give me Bo Nix.
gonna give you some low hanging fruit here. Aaron Rodgers or Bo Nix
Bo.
for just the season that they're gonna have this season.
Bo. You see Aaron doing his drills the other day?
No, I saw him throw a pretty nice ball to the corner.
No, they were saying about him getting around the cones and everything.
Looking a little old.
Yeah.
So are we, though.
Well, I mean, we've seen it. We've seen it. Like when you hit that wall, you don't have a choice, man.
C.J. Stroud or Bo Nix?
Oh, wow. This one's a little more difficult for me because the dude's already played. C.J. Stroud, I'm speaking of, already has played in I think 4 postseason games.
Yeah, he was this close to going to an AFC Championship game. They won the division twice out of coming nowhere, being a bottom feeder.
I'm going to be labeled a homer after this, but I'm going to go with Bo Nix.
Okay.
You?
I think I stay with Nix because those 2 seasons for Stroud was like a 24 touchdown season and a 21 touchdown season. So Stroud's not like throwing for 30 touchdowns in those guys. Jordan Love. Give me Jordan Love or Bo Nix.
Oh, wow. Gosh, you're asking some bangers here, man.
Thank you.
Because
I'm prepared today.
Can I phone a friend? Can I get
You
a lifeline?
cannot. You can do 50-50. You can cut one.
Give me Bo Nix.
Okay. Let's see here. Sam Darnold.
Bo Nix.
Okay.
You're asking these questions.
Baker Mayfield.
All about the season they're going to have?
No, just kind of who'd you have moving forward. And moving forward in the NFL is like a 3-4 year window. You could look at it for the next 10 years.
If you can look at
want.
it the way that Sean Payton described it the other day and say he's going to be one of the top 4 or 5 quarterbacks.
Well, that's what
in
I'm
the
trying
league.
to do here because there's already the 2 quarterbacks in the division probably better than
You're
him,
asking-
and another 4 or 5 within the conference better than him. And we're
And
not
you're
even
asking the right ones, dude. Because it's not. You're not asking me about Josh Allen. You're not asking me about Lamar.
No, of course not.
Patrick
Why would
Mahomes.
I? That would be ridiculous.
I take Bo Nix over Sam Darnold.
What about
but
Baker?
you're not answering any of these.
I would take him over Darnold.
Jordan Love.
I think I take Jordan Love. I think he's a 40 touchdown guy. I think Jordan Love's got some. He's further along in the process, and I don't think he's that much older than Bo Nix as well.
Yeah.
He's more of a sure thing than Jordan Love. And I'm going to sound like a hater for saying that. I'm going to sound like Marilat for saying that. Baker Mayfield.
Probably Baker.
Whoa, really? Why? Nix is going to be Baker, right? And Baker's probably 30 years old. Can I talk you out of that one?
Well, I'm just going off of last year. You're the one who's like, you have 41 touchdowns last year.
Well, again, I think like a comp for
You're
Bo
saying
Nix
who's going
is
to have
Baker
a better
Mayfield.
year, talent-wise. I don't know.
Okay,
The
now
NFC,
watch this.
The NFC South is always awful. Give me Bo.
See, now, Cello, we were going to do within the show here, and we kind of are going to do this here, a redraft. But the redraft essentially is just going to be more questions about who'd you rather from those other 5 quarterbacks in the draft. Let's start with Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams or Bo Nix? See what kind of real Broncos
I have
fan.
numbers on this. I have numbers. Did you see the little hissy fit the other day when they're out on the bags throwing the balls?
Well, of course I did, but why don't you tell the
Caleb
listeners
Williams
about
is
it?
out, and I want to say Keenum's there now too, right? As a
Case?
backup in Chicago.
Sure.
You know the nets that have the squares,
Yeah.
and you just throw the ball. Your quarterback, you should be able to hit the high, the middle,
Yeah.
and the low. Didn't hit one, and then he stormed off like a 6-year-old.
Caleb?
Yes, you got to check out the
Were his
footage
nails
of it.
painted?
Probably.
Dang.
So
A little too emo for me.
redraft. I mean, and his season really wasn't that bad.
It
last
wasn't at
year,
all,
Dan.
Cello, actually. And they were in it until like the wheels came off after being so many close games. And I've heard a lot of people saying the Bears are a sleeper playoff team. I've heard a lot of people say
You know what
Bears
I
are going to
think,
sneak in as the 7th
You always
playoff
look
team.
at like what moment changed a season. When they lost on the Hail Mary in Washington,
Yeah.
I think those 2 franchises went complete different directions. Now, I think in the long term, for them to get a guy like Ben Johnson there from Detroit
Yeah.
is going to help him. And I'm not going to overly, criticize the guy for what he did the other day. But if I had to pick, even Sean Payton at one point said he was a generational talent.
And they might have
dude.
to change the way they draft in the NFL.
I think
so no
even
one
if you
tanks
went
for this
back
guy.
and
That's
looked
strong.
at it,
That is very strong,
people
bro.
aren't going to take him over Caleb Williams. Now, if you want to say Jaden Daniels
So
went
what
one.
are you saying? You're going to pass on a guy who is one of the hottest prospects.
No, you said redraft it. I'd say Jaden Daniels goes 1.
Of course he does. And then who goes 2, though? Williams or Bo?
In my mind, or what do I think like around NFL circles will be?
Both.
I'm going to throw it back at you. You don't have no tough questions answered.
Okay,
yet. It's your
I would
turn.
say that Caleb Williams still goes in front of Bo Nix. But Bo Nix is the 3rd quarterback in front of JJ and Michael Penix Jr. You got to be careful with that, how you say that one. Michael Penix Jr. Would be the 4th, and I think he's going to have a big year. I think he's going to be surprise people. And then I just like total mysteries in either Drake May or JJ McCarthy. One of those 2 is going to be Josh Rosen. like one of those guys is Josh Rosen. There's not going to be any, way about it because the other three guys, Penix is going to have a big year, I think, and to surprise tons of people. Caleb Williams, I think, is going to get it figured out there, and it's hard to win in Chicago. Like, no quarterback's ever done it, like ever, right? And then I think Bo Nix is a star in the making, and Jaden Daniels those two are cut from the same cloth. I hope that they're both stars because Elway's draft with all those quarterbacks, there was a bunch of stars. Jim Kelly is a Hall of Famer, Dan Marino's a Hall of Famer, and John Elway's one of the greatest of all time. The other class that had Baker, Allen, Lamar, Rosen, and Darnold. Well, there's 2.5 stars in that draft, 2 Hall of Famers and maybe another player who's going to have a really nice career in Baker Mayfield. So if you comp that to this draft, if you comp that to what does that mean for Bo Nix? It means that probably in this draft, Bo Nix and Jaden Daniels look like stars. Caleb Williams might be a late developer. We'll see what happens with JJ and Drake May and question marks for Michael Penix Jr. But you got to look at those other drafts. Those other 2 drafts that had 5 quarterbacks in the first round, and how you compares to this draft.
I probably agree with you ultimately on how the redraft would go.
Okay.
It would be
changes?
Jaden, Caleb,
Bo.
Bo. Then probably the big question that we don't really know is J.J. McCarthy, because all the reports out of Minnesota last year was this guy was legit. He was the real deal. And then he gets hurt and he misses the entirety of the year. Sam Darnold goes on to have his success. Michael Penix threw for like 700, almost 800 yards in 3 games last year.
Yeah.
After he replaced Kirk
Weeks
Cousins.
like 16 to 18, he was.
And then Drake
dynamic.
May. I think Drake May even flashed before Bo did last year, because I remember doing shows going, everyone's flashed.
Yeah, but it was
now.
like just a week or 2. And
No, I get it. But if you look at his numbers, they aren't terrible either.
Yeah.
I mean, his are probably more what you would expect with a rookie
And he's
quarterback.
21.
I think
He was 21 years old.
He only played, I think, 13 games. I think he had 15 touchdowns, 12 picks. So, yeah, I mean, ultimately, you still get – I think it'll be interesting to look at it come off this coming season. If you had to redraft again, are you fully believing that Jaden Daniels is the real deal and he's going to – replicate what he did?
Yeah, with just a couple minutes left. We just got a couple minutes left. I'll say this about Bo Nix. I'll say that I think Nix is the difference between Nix and Caleb Williams and maybe some of these other guys in the draft that made him the 6th quarterback taken was that he was an older quarterback. He didn't have a ton of success at Auburn, and there's a stigma of a quarterback that comes from Oregon that Justin Herbert's kind of broken a little bit of that stigma, but if Bo
I don't
Nix,
know what you're talking about.
If
Joey Harrington,
don't give me Achilles Smith. If Bo Nix is a star, it's because this measurable of intangible that even the great ones like Elway had and Peyton had and Tim Tebow had. He has to do something and be something like extraordinary that the physicality, because he's not as good an athlete as Jaden Daniels, and he's not as good an athlete as Caleb Williams. So Bo Nix, if he's just like an ultimate winner to fill in the gaps there, and that stuff, like heart, miles and miles of heart, you can't measure it, that will be the difference. And that's how Nix closes the gap on those guys in terms of not just winning games, but like stardom as well. Superstardom even maybe for this guy.
Yeah, we'll see what happens, man. Because what was the line you said the other day? Your mouth's writing checks that
you're can't catch. Yeah.
But hey, it's been thrown out there. These guys in this locker room realize it. I think Bo Nix understands what's in front of him. And I think that's what's kind of refreshing about him, especially after we got through all of the Russell stuff. Whether it was cringe or super fake or just
it was like a bad breakup and you can't just let it go. You're still feeling bad about it. And those feelings are over now. It's like we've moved on, right?
But Bo looks like he has an understanding of like what his role is, not only on this team and for that organization,
but as a leader.
And in the city, what it means.
Big picture as a leader. Yeah. Okay. That's the show. That has been another edition of Danny and Cello. I'm Danny Williams. Marcello Romano right there, our guy DC taking care of us back there. We are going to continue to bring you the show a couple times a week. It's going to evolve. It's Broncos season. We're right in the heart of it. But, man, you should hear Cello's basketball stuff. You should hear his soccer stuff. No, we won't do any soccer stuff. But
you should hear my Rockies stuff.
No, thanks. After that Blue Jays series. But we appreciate the interaction, the participation. Thanks for being with us. We're going to continue to bring you these good shows here. And it's nice to have this Broncos team to kind of talk about and feed off of a little bit. I'm excited for the Nuggets just around the corner. But for Marcello Romano, I'm Danny Williams. We appreciate you guys and we love you guys. Good night, Sheila.